Welcome to 100 Yards of Football. And tonight, I'm your host, Bobby Butler, and we're hosting the Legend segment. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a South Florida, Palm Beach County, Riviera legend. Mr. Rhett Jackson, welcome to the show, Rhett.
Thank you for having me, man.
Hey,
Thank
man, we
you
should have did this a long time ago.
for well,
Man, look, you and I got so much to talk about. We're just gonna jump in, man. This show is about legends, and from the time we were little kids, how we developed into what we became as athletes, and then just the evolution of what we got a chance to experience before we started playing ball, and also how we were inspired and how that developed us into, where we eventually got to. You and I, myself. Rhett and I played against each other in high school. I played at Atlantic High, of course, and Rhett played at the great Suncoast High School and the Riviera area of the Palm Beach County, which is the more northern end of the county. And Delray is almost at the south tip. We're the city north of Boca Raton, but we're at the bottom of the county. And we've been competing against each other, man, our whole lives, man, as kids. And I tell you, it was some of the best competition. And so before we get into that, us competing against each other, I think one of the things that you guys had going in Riviera, that we had something similar going on in Delray. During my generation, we had the Delray Rocks, right? But you guys had, in my opinion, a more of a broader base athletics when we started talking about Tate Gym and the things, Mr. Dan Calloway and all the people and all the things y'all had going on in Riviera. Explain that to me. Tell me how you started playing ball and how Tate Gym and that whole area, inspired you and affected you and becoming who you are today.
Okay. And again, thanks for having me. And mine is very, very, very interesting because most people think that when we came up, that I came through and played for Tate. We had Tate and we had Wells.
Okay.
It was run by the legend Dan Calloway, Barbara Adams, Clark Martin, and all of those. And those programs were so good. We had they had over there footballs, basketball, swimming, ping pong, diving, and we did it all. I was very active over there with the swimming and diving, and played at the rec centers. But for his organized teams, I never played for them.
Oh, really? Okay.
Everybody around me played and came through that system, man.
Wow.
And it was amazing. So, I all my stuff was, back in the day we did street ball, we in the streets, we in the parks, tackle on the sideline, all of that. So all of the guys that were playing with Mr. Calloway, I would play with them at the rec center and in the fields and stuff. But I always saw that I could compete with them, and I found out how it is around there because we used to race in the water swimming. We used to race on the street. I always knew that I had good speed, and I was just as fast as faster than most of the people that was around me. But man, you talking about awesome programs. Them programs were similar to Delray Rocks.
Absolutely.
Everybody came through that program.
Everybody. But Rhett, it's amazing, right? Because on our end of the county, football was such a strong thing, right? And we did everything. We played basketball. We had two pools in the city of Delray. We had the one you probably knew of, Pompey Park, which is now Pompey Park. It used to be called Teen Town Center. That area when we were kids, that same pool, I grew up swimming in that pool. And I was a great diver. I was one of the best divers in the county in my age group, by the way, when I was a young fella. And then, so we did that a lot as well. But one thing we didn't possess that you guys had, and I don't know what it is about what's in the water up there on the north side of the county, basketball was the real deal. I mean, it's amazing. You know, I was fortunate enough to have on the show almost going on a year ago, the great Coach Andrew Floyd Andrews on the show, who coached the first undefeated team at Roosevelt. And then also after integration, coached the great North Shore High School in Riviera. And so that whole thing. So I got a chance. But let me say this. Let me tell you, when I experienced Tate Gym for the first time, right?
Okay.
I got to tell you this. Because the first organized basketball team I ever played on, I was in the 6th grade at Spady Elementary. Okay. That was the last year we had 6th grade. Almost. We had another year. But I was in the 6th grade elementary school at Spady. And for the first time, we had an organized basketball team. And we played the other elementary schools, Pine Grove, St. Joseph's, all those schools on the south side. And we beat everybody. We had one loss and we won the championship down there. So at the end of the year, David Williams, who was our coach, I guess he knew Mr. Calloway. Mm-hmm. And we came up to Tate Gym to play our age group up there at Tate Gym. Bro, I don't think we got 30 points close to y'all. I mean, I couldn't believe what I experienced that day. I go, they can't be that much better than us, but they were, right? And so that was my first experience, not really knowing much about the Roosevelt group because I was just a little kid, right? Mm-hmm. And but man, I tell you what, I got my eyes open that day. And so when I got in high school, nothing changed because what we had, Suncoast, we were in the same district.
That's right.
When we were in high school, and which was a shame. We're going to talk about that when we get to football. So we had Suncoast in the district, team out of Riviera, kids out of Riviera. But then you had, through integration, you had Palm Beach Gardens, who had a lot of kids that would have gone to Kennedy had we not integrated, right?
Correct.
And then on top of them, you had North Shore.
North Shore, that's right.
And so when we think about our stint in high school, when I think about basketball in particular, North Shore and Suncoast dominated the county.
Yes. And Coach Andrews, that was a great interview he did with Coach Andrews. What a legend, man. And when he left Roosevelt and he came to North Shore, built that legacy over there. And oh man, all of them guys, see they had over as small as Riviera Beach was, North Shore, Suncoast, and Monroe Heights. Monroe Heights people mostly went to Palm Beach Gardens. Federal Gardens, Stony Brook, Broadmoor. That's all us at Suncoast. And then just a little south, basically from 8th Street to 1st Street, those people went to North Shore. And they had over there, Conrad Jones could tell you about over there, the Firehouse, Conrad and T.C. Mitchell, Derek Harper Wap, Tony Clay, Frank Allworth.
Let me tell you the guy who, now all those guys are great. Now Conrad Jones may be, and we may get a chance to talk about that, he may be the best athlete that we ever had in Palm Beach County. A lot of people don't know that because he's the only guy. I mean, a lot of us did well in other sports. Don't get us wrong. I was good in track. I was average in basketball. Anthony Carter was great at basketball, great at football. And so we can say all those things. But Conrad Jones is the only guy to make all state in all 3 sports.
3: football, basketball, and baseball. He was true.
Bruh.
Conrad Jones, only guy. I believe he's the only guy. Maybe the only guy in the state.
I think he's the only guy in the history of the state to ever do that.
In the history of Florida, man.
And you talking about a whole lot. That's saying a lot right there. Yeah, Conrad was special, but he had another guy. This guy, I mean, that North Shore team was unbelievable because you had Curtis Brooks, Red.
Yeah, Curtis and Varick Logan.
Oh, God. Man, hey, let me not talk about that. I might have nightmares tonight. I might not be able to sleep tonight, man. You know, but you had all of that power out of that one little city on the north end of the county, man.
Yes.
And then to me, to be honest with you, one of the things, and I guess it's because we didn't have as many schools back then in the county, because we were a 3A. 4A was the largest classification.
Correct,
right?
correct.
And so you had Palm Beach Gardens, Twin Lakes, John I. Leonard, Lake Worth, you know, all those schools were Boca High School. All those schools were 4A schools.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 3A schools was Glade Central, Atlantic, Suncoast, Carlton Newman, North Shore, you know, and the rest of us, right? And so,
right. I think Jupiter.
And because we were so small, Rhett, I think we were at a disadvantage when it came to the state playoffs. I know in football, I really feel that, because we talked about it a little bit the other day, that, you know, in the county, when it came to football, it was Atlantic and Suncoast. We were the top two teams in the county, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to playoffs, we had to play each other in the district.
Yeah.
So one of us was going to go home like right away, and you know, just leaving a lot of football, you know, out of the tournament. Which nowadays you have a regional champion, and the top 4 teams out of the region go into the state playoffs.
Yeah.
So had we had something like that going on, man, we could end up meeting each other.
Then you could run. Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. So let's talk about real quick. Since we're talking about North Shore and Suncoast in the high school, let's talk about some of the guys you played with at Suncoast, right? So you played with some great athletes at Suncoast on the football team. Talk about your guys.
Yeah, I tell you, and some of the guys that I played with, I think during the time we came out, when I come out in 76, when I came out, Suncoast was just, that culture had just changed. It was just changed, and we were starting to win district championships. We won a district in track. We won basketball and in football. But some of the guys that we played with, a couple of them right before us, with my cousin Leon Smith and Vincent Osborne, them set the stage. Then we came along. I played with some guys. But because Suncoast wasn't established yet, a lot of us were unheralded and didn't get that publicity until the groups right after us. Played with AC one year. With AC, Richard Relford, Roy Hay Phillips, Winston-Salem, all American. Them guys came up and did it. But I played with some guys, and I want to give them some stuff. And I think Michael Coleman mentioned this. Our best athlete, man, was his brother Ed Walker. Football, basketball, baseball, and went to LSU and played baseball. 1,000-yard rusher, and played that basketball. But we had your homeboy came up and played with us, Delray Brown, Alpha Brown.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we had a beastly tight end, Michael Taylor, and Kenny Payne, and linebacker Michael Coleman. Man, we had some guys out there, and they could ball, man.
Y'all had some guys, and
we had some guys.
Y'all had some guys. Put it this way: when we played y'all, we knew we had to play our best. I mean, it wasn't going to be easy. We had to play our best, and and we had to put it together, because I remember your senior year, we played you guys at Suncoast, and tell me if you remember this. It was like 32 degrees that night. You remember that? You remember that?
I remember it vividly, and one of the reasons I remember it, man, I was injury prone a lot. Still am. I just had Achilles surgery.
Oh wow, that's right. You did tell me that. That's
yeah, right. but I injured my shoulder, and I got on some hero that night. It was in the paper in the third quarter. I remember how cold it was with that injury. And if I remember correctly, it's the coldest night that I remember down in Palm Beach.
Well, I can tell you this. For me, it was the coldest game I ever played in high school, period. My 3 years of high school in Atlanta, that was the coldest game I ever played in that night.
That was cold, man. That was a cold night. I definitely remember it. Yeah, that was the coldest night. Yeah, I remember.
It was definitely cold. Now you guys, all right, so we played and competed against each other in football, basketball, and track. You and I compete against each other in track, and that was another sport for us that was big. I mean, a lot of people don't know it. Where we come from, we run. And we run. And we had speed in the county. It was all over the county.
It was, wasn't it?
Man, we had, AC. What was the guy who was 1 year ahead of you? Short guy he was your best 100-yard dash guy. He used to flap his hands like that. What was that guy name?
He just tried to call me on the phone. We call him Gino. His name was Eugene Simmons, man.
Eugene Simmons. There he is.
Gino.
Oh. Now he was the fastest guy in the county that year, wasn't he?
And Gino could fly, man. Gino, Alan Wynn, Vernon Davis, them guys were inspiration to me. Them guys pick them up and put them down. Yeah, with little Gino.
They can go. So those guys, all right, and then we had at that time Carlos Carson.
Carlos, that's right.
Carlos, and then you had Kirby Jordan.
Yes.
So those guys right there in the county were major guys. And then you had a guy out west making some noise, a guy named Leroy Love.
Ooh, Leroy. Leroy Love.
Yes, sir.
Man.
So, I tell people all the time, right? So, when I was in high school, I was not a consistent 100-yard dash guy. I couldn't come out the blocks well. I could never get that down. But if I come out now, I'm a run pretty good. But the 220 was my race, right?
Yes, sir.
That was my race.
Me.
And I used to, sometimes Leroy and all those guys be talking noise after they win the 100. I said, all right, I'll see y'all in a little bit on the other side of the track, right?
Yes.
I'll catch up with y'all later on today, right?
Yes.
Because that was my race. It was highly competitive.
Wasn't it?
Highly competitive, man, in our sprints in Palm Beach County.
It was, man. We had good sprinters. Yeah, that 200. I found that was my race.
Yes, sir.
I was the same way in the 100, but I found that 200, and boy, you used to get me. I think in the district and was it Strahan?
Yeah, Afro Strong.
They had Strong.
Yeah, Afro Strong. Yeah,
I think I came third to y'all in the district, but that's our sprint medley got y'all. On that sprint medley. But man, it was some. I really, really, really loved running down there, and it was some speed down there, man.
When you think about it, let's just think about it. Every sport we played down there, we played with speed.
Everything.
So the guys who were great baseball players, they played with speed. We didn't have no guys like those big first basemen just yanking the ball out the stadium in baseball.
Nah.
We had guys who can put the ball on the ground and can beat the throw.
Yeah, that's right.
Guys who can steal second and third, right?
Yeah.
And in basketball is the same thing. I know at Atlantic, we were not a basketball school. We had one great year of basketball. Your senior year, we beat everybody. And then got in the tournament and lost our mind. And we beat Suncoast twice in the regular season, unheard of, right? We beat
1-1.
1-1 that year?
Yeah.
Okay, 1-1. We beat North Shore twice that year.
Okay.
Right? And so, you beat North Shore, you beat Suncoast. You're like, hey, we're supposed to win the whole state.
I know.
And got in the tournament. We were the first seed, man. Got in the tournament, and Cardinal Numa, of all people. I mean, I never seen guys. So I'm gonna use this term. I never use this term. Lucky in my life. Them boys were throwing hook shots from the top of the key. Rhett, it was hilarious. I was laughing because I'm thinking, well, this can't last long. We found ourselves in a dog fight. We went up by 1 with 7 seconds in the game. We put on a full court press. They had one African American on the team, and they inbound the ball. We trapped the ball, and the guy could barely get out. We had him. We just didn't want to foul, right?
Yeah.
And he leaked out and just rolled the ball. And the one brother on the team picked the ball up at half court. Sent it with, and that's how we lost. That's how we lost.
Can I say something on that basketball? Our senior year, that squad, and we beat North Shore. And that squad, man, I don't know if you remember, we had this brother, we had Johnny Talton, Johnny Talton, left-handed, Benny Goldwire. Yeah, Ed.
Goldwire was nasty, man.
Yeah. It had Ed Walker, AC, man.
And you had AC, right?
That senior year team was nice.
Well, they went all the way to state and lost in the championship game.
That's right.
They went all the way to state and lost in the championship game.
Yeah, them boys.
I'll never forget it, man. Because y'all had some ballers.
Yeah, man.
But so now we talk about our area, right? We talk about in our time, it was, we were integrated in our schools. But when we were kids, I know for me, right? And I know you've seen the show. I talk about Carver High all the time. I talk about Penn, Dobson, Barry Hill, Charles Canese, all those guys, Lawrence Hunt, Big Daddy Hunt, Randy Strong, all those great players that played at in Delray that I had a chance to see as a kid and be inspired. I mean, I was really turned on by those guys, right? And they were my real heroes. But yet and still, in that time, Rhett, of Carver High, in Riviera, you had a school called John F. Kennedy.
Them Vikings. Yes.
And y'all had guys like Tommy Toombs on that team. Y'all had the Coleman brothers on that team. Man, what did that do for you when you went to see them guys play? Because I know what my guys did for me.
Oh, that made everybody want to get out there and play. We used to imitate. God, when you come home, man, and guys imitating, man. I'm Tommy Toombs.
Man.
I'm Bootsy Coleman. They had all the Coleman boys, Bootsy Crosby, Bernard back then. They had a running back there, man. Larry Locke.
Oh, yes, sir.
Man, Larry Locke was a beast.
He's a bad boy.
Everett Mitchell, and Cecil Relford, them boys, man. But what that did, though, they were so good, we would go see them practice. We would walk over just and Coach McCoy.
Coach McCoy.
And of course, Lamar Parrish. Godfather.
Bruh.
The go. He was before that, but we would just go and watch them practice, come home, imitate them, try to do those moves. One of the things in watching them guys when we get back to Leap and Lamar and them, he was the guy that was to set the standard. He started going over to the beach, and me and Mike, we didn't never like to run. We was sprinters. We go to the beach and try to do those workouts like him and my cousin Carl.
Right.
I do want to mention, while we mentioning that one day we need to get that. That was a brief period of time when my cousin Carl Johnson, DeAndre Hawkins, Robert Coleman, James Carter, Bootsy Rivens. Them guys went over to Cardinal Newman. And in football at Cardinal Newman, we used to watch these guys too.
Right.
And they ended up going over to Cardinal Newman. under Sam Butnick integrated. And that team had like 3 losses in 3. They went undefeated one year. If I'm not mistaken, they the first team to ever beat Glaze Central.
Glaze Central, right? I remember that.
And then they had a season with a loss and one with a loss and a tie, but that team needs to be talked about.
Now that was right after Kennedy, though, right?
Right after Kennedy.
Right after Kennedy, right when integration first started.
But yes, but when going to Kennedy though, when it was still sick, we used to go to the basketball game, and Cecil and Weathersby, Huey, and all them guys were playing, and the gym used to be rocking. Like it looked like Duke, you know.
Exactly.
It used to be tight. Those were good days. But to get back to answer your question, what it made us do is made us want to beat them.
Absolutely.
And I was told today, one of my cousins told me today, and Carl was one of the best athletes to come out of Florida down there, out of Palm Beach County. He said the best quarterback that he ever saw down there was Anthony Penn.
Oh, yeah. Penn was special.
County.
Yeah, Penn was special. But, you know, Toombs was a bad boy. Now,
wasn't he?
Toombs was bad because, Toombs had another flavor. He was left-handed.
And you know what? We used to watch him. They used to take I'm dating myself now. They would take a car tire, tie a rope around it, tie it up to the goal post, and swing it. And he used to thread the needle with that time and shoot. Man, that time.
Hey, man, Toombs was a bad boy.
He was.
He was a bad. You know who kind of reminded me of Toombs that we played against in high school? You remember the quarterback played at Pahokee. He was left-handed, about 6'4". He's a year. He came out in 75.
I do.
What was his name? Was it Jones? Was it Jones?
I think it's Remos.
No, that wasn't Remus.
No, he played in.
Remus played split in and defensive end. But he was a Jones, I believe. He's left-handed.
Okay.
He's a great basketball player too for them. And so, I mean, when you think about the talent,
who used to throw like Tommy though, his youngest brother. Now Leon came out of 75.
Okay.
Remember James Johnson?
I remember James.
You know, James and John Lee, man, them boys could
John Lee threw that ball.
James threw that ball that was Tommy's younger brother.
I didn't know that.
James, yeah, and he had another brother. Leon played quarterback for us. He came out of 75, and they had another brother, Gene, played defensive end and tight end. But James threw that thing. He used to remind me. He looked just like Tommy, man.
Did it? Man, Tommy was special. Tommy was a special dude. So we're talking about, you know, we went back, we talked a little bit about Suncoast, your group. So now we're going back to the guys who you looked up to growing up at Kennedy, right?
Yeah.
All right. So tell me about these guys. Because people need to understand, y'all had some serious talent in Riviera. I mean, y'all talent pool was just like our talent pool in Delray, football-wise. But y'all talent pool was a little broader because y'all were not just football players, but y'all were great basketball players. We can't pull those cards like y'all did, right? So tell me about these guys here that played at Palm Beach Gardens. Tell me about the Bibbin boys.
Ooh. Dano and Bruce. Dano, Bibbins, and Bruce and them boys there. Oh, yeah, that's the Monroe Heights boys.
Hey, Rhett,
they were the truth.
They're the truth. I gotta tell you this story, right? So I'm in the 9th grade, right? So imagine, for those of y'all who know me, who watch this show, y'all know I was just a little guy. So I'm in the 9th grade, and I'm on the track team. And before the county meet, I long jumped 22 feet as a ninth grader, right? I had not lost a long jump. Matter of fact, I hadn't lost a long jump not one time in middle school. So I come up to the high school and I'm long jumping on the track team and hadn't been beat. Think about this now. I'm a little old kid, hadn't been beat. And I won every track meet, and we go to the county meet. So I'm down there, I'm thinking, hey, I don't long jump 22 feet. I haven't seen anybody who can out jump me in the ninth grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you what happened. I'm down there warming up, and here comes the great Dano Bivens. He's at the long jump.
Ooh.
So I'm watching him. I know he's a great football player because that was his senior year. And so, he was a man child in the county, right?
Yes.
And he couldn't be stopped on the football field. And of course, everybody knew who he was. So I think Dano did this to intimidate me. And if he didn't do it to intimidate me, it intimidated me anyway. He got on the track, Rhett, on the runway at the long jump pit. And he scratched. And I think he scratched on purpose. I really believe that.
Okay.
He jumped over the sand pit on the track. I was done.
Wow.
In my mind, I said, man,
wow.
I don't know what I'm gonna do here today. But whatever I'm gonna do, it ain't gonna beat that right there.
Wow.
And then Mike came right behind him. So Dano jumped to 24 that day. Mike jumped 23 by 10, something like that. And because I was so intimidated, I couldn't even jump my best. I think I jumped like 21 something that day. Yeah, I couldn't even get to 22, right? Because my mind was gone. And I think that I really believe Dano did that on purpose. I think he did that because he saw me standing there, and he scratched on purpose. But when he went over that pit and landed on the track,
wow, man, that's crazy.
But
that's crazy.
You think about a guy like that, as athletic and what a dominant football player Dano Bivens was. That can be intimidating for a guy like me, who's a football player who really looking up to those guys, right?
Yes.
And I see him perform like that. I mean, I was no more good after that point. And so that was a great experience for me. But,
they had a lot of talent over there too. David Cromartie, Lamar brother, Nuki.
They had all them boys over there.
Them guys, man, were they were something else. But
what about Shaq Leonard? Did Shaq Leonard go to Barnes?
Look here. I was gonna mention Shaq. And there's a lot of names that wow, it's so much talent. I'm gonna mention Shaq and man, Shaq Leonard was awesome.
Hey man,
Shaq was awesome.
So this is what I'm talking about. So when we started talking about the county, right? Man, we got dudes. So when I talk about when you hear me talk about Palm Beach County football, right? You'll hear me talk about these 5 guys, and the only reason I mention them all the time is simply because I played against them in high school, right?
Okay.
So the guys who I played against in high school was Otis Anderson.
Yes.
Right. Who went to Miami and ended up playing with the draft in the first round by the Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinals, by the way, and then was traded to the New York Giants and won the MVP. I can never remember the Super Bowl number, but he was the MVP of the Super Bowl that Whitney Houston sang the national anthem that night.
Correct.
He was an MVP. And what's amazing about OJ, he told me, and this is, and I hope parents and I hope kids listen to this show, because one of the things that he said that's a powerful tool that we talk about a lot in the church, but it's something that God has given all of us if we'll learn how to use the tool, right? It's the power of what you say, the things you speak that come out of your mouth. And then if you can chase it with your heart, in other words, the faith that you believe the things that you say, those things that come to pass.
Okay.
You know, it's scripture, it's biblical. And so OJ was telling me when he was in college, when he got drafted, he told everybody, I'm not going to the league just to be a 1,000-yard rusher. He said, I'm going to be the MVP of the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke it.
And he spoke it into existence.
Well, of course, when he first got in the league, I mean, he was an all-pro running back for the Cardinals, but they didn't get near the Super Bowl.
Right.
And then here you go, we trade for him. The Giants trade for him. And he played in a couple Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But
Sure did.
But one night,
8 and 2, right?
But one night over in Tampa, Florida, he became the MVP. He spoke into existence, man. And so I talk about OJ. He was a special back, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was a different back. He was a different back. You know, when you think about when you think about OJ, I don't necessarily think about him being from South Florida, because you know the kind of player when we talk about South Florida, we talk about EC, we talk about Carlos, we talking about Jesse Hess, we talking about guys like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, guys who
Bucky is different.
Guys who can get it and can run everybody. This dude was a power back.
Yeah, he was a big boy.
Who had at one time had pretty decent speed in open field too. Until the end of his career, he became a true power back, right? When he's with the Giants.
He was bringing that.
And he gonna bring that flipper. He liked to bring that. He tried to get me with that flip in Atlanta one time, Rhett. I said, boy, I can't believe you trying to do that to me, man. I said, you know, I've been watching you do that since high school. I said, you can't get me with that, cuz. I said, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work.
Wow.
But he was a powerful man. And so I talk about OJ, and then I talk about Carlos Carson.
Yes.
Who was a great at I guess his senior year, he was the fastest guy in the county.
Yeah, Carlos could run.
Carlos could run, but he played running back in high school. A lot of people didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know what he told me? He told me he couldn't catch a cold coming out of high school.
Okay.
He said when he got the scholarship to LSU, play wide receiver, he said, I just went to work.
Okay.
He said, I started catching balls, a lot of balls every day.
Wow.
I never knew he couldn't catch. He said, I couldn't catch a cold. That's how bad my hands were.
But he went to work.
Well, I played against him in college, and he was working. Right? He was going at it. Right? And then we talk about, of course, the great one out there west of the county, Ricky Jackson.
Ricky,
NFL Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Listen, one of the best athletes we ever played against.
Yes.
And the thing about Ricky always had this thing, I call it this thing, that was pushing him the whole time.
Okay.
So when we go back and we talk about Ricky, we talk about him at Pahokee. Now, his senior year, he was the dog.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't the best defensive end, because Remus Johnson was the man over there.
That guy was.
Listen. We did not run at Remus Johnson.
Yes.
Atlantic High, we look for Ricky. We going way Ricky. We going that way.
Mm-hmm.
That other dude wasn't no joke.
Yeah, he was
no joke. So Ricky always had the guy on the other side that forced people to run to him, and he met the challenge on every level. So you think,
Hugh Green in Pittsburgh.
Well, you go to Pittsburgh, and Hugh Green is on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So people not running at you, they run at Ricky, and Ricky making a name for himself.
Yeah,
he getting an opportunity because the other guy was always a monster in the room. He's getting an opportunity, but he's taking advantage of his opportunity.
He did.
If I can tell kids one thing. Now, at the end of my career, that's what I was hoping for. Because in Atlanta, all those years, I was the guy at corner, right?
Yes.
Then we get Dion, and that's when they decided, well, I think it's about time for the old man to sit down. Let's replace the old man. No, let me play with this dude.
Yeah.
Because for the first time now, they're going to come at me.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking so much forward to that challenge, but it only happened a few times, right?
Yeah.
But when we did play together, we did play well together when we were on the field at the same time. So Ricky had that going for him. And then when he get to New Orleans, he had Pat Swilling on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pat, that's right.
So all that,
at every level.
Every level. So all that what it did for Ricky Jackson, it made him an NFL Hall of Famer. He took advantage of his opportunity.
He did, didn't he?
And he was a monster now, because he was with the Saints. We played him twice a year. Yeah. So I had to see him all the time. I saw him all the time doing his thing. All the time. Right? He's doing his thing, man. So when I talk about, and then I talk about AC, because AC was 2 years behind me. He was 3 years behind you. He was 2 years behind me, but what an impact he made on the county. He beat me out for Player of the Year my senior year.
Okay, yeah, that's my boy. He was special.
Rhett, I did work my senior year, but he scored 36 touchdowns at the wide receiver position.
Hey, man.
Bro, you can't do no better than that.
What can you do?
What can you do? And so I talk about those guys, but you and I both know, I talk about all those guys because I played against those guys. But when we start talking about pre or before us, when we start talking about Lamar Parrish.
Yes.
We talk about Barry Hill and Delray.
Yeah.
All right. We talk about Toombs. We talk about Anthony Penn and Delray. So we had all these guys ahead of us showing us the way. Right?
They did.
Made us who we became.
Yes.
Right? Which is special. And then I tell you what, Rhett, the thing that I love, the people who are watching you and I play.
Yeah.
And we changed their lives, right?
Yeah.
And so it got me, because I'm just me, man. I don't think much of myself. I know I played ball a long time, all that kind of stuff. But I don't think much of myself, right? But, I remember as a kid, as a senior in high school, I was driving home I was on the west side of Delray. I never forget, I was coming home. And I passed this field in Delray. And there was a lot of people standing around watching these kids play pickup ball in this field right across the street from my house. So I pulled a car over and just stood on the fence to see these kids play, right? And I had a moment here, right? And so all of a sudden I can see a kid running the ball coming towards me. He juking and jocking and he running, he going. And then when he got close to me, he had number 11 on his t-shirt.
Wow.
He had my name on the back, right?
Wow.
I had a moment, right? I was like, wow. But I should do the same thing with Penn. I would put number 10 on my t-shirt and put Penn on the back and go outside and try to do everything I should see him do.
Oh, yeah.
And so that showed me, okay, look, all right, just like you used to watch Penn, these other kids are watching you. And so when I talk with high school kids in particular today, I always let them know, hey, look, most guys in your community, even though they can see all the great players in the NFL play in Atlanta, play in Miami Dolphins, those are not their guys. It's you they're looking up to. You're the hero. They can see you in the street. They walk by you. They get nervous when you get around you. They may even ask you for an autograph. First time I saw Penn in the public, I froze. I couldn't even say a word. I was a little kid. I saw him, but I was like, that's him, right? That's him, right? So
just think how many people was like that with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the message that I tell people, nobody makes it on their own.
Right.
We're all inspired by those who went before us, right?
That's right.
We're all inspired.
Always. There's always somebody watching you. And I know, and I want to say this to the people that's watching, because I know you do this show and you speak and talk to legends and on all levels, man. People that came from high school, from the neighborhood to college and to the NFL. But you're so humble that I want the people that are watching to know, who you are, because now I watched you and competed against you, and ironically, I had my best football games against you, and I was at my best on the track against you because you brought that out. But a lot of people don't realize that you know, that you're Hall of Famer, Palm Beach County Hall of Famer, that Bobby Butler here was All-American, and I may be mistaken. I think that with that legacy at Florida State University, I think you might have been the first, Bobby Bowden's first #1 draft choice, first rounder.
I was the first one. That's right.
And to play 12 years in the league. And then one of the things that I look at when I was talking about, I know when we were starting out at Suncoast and building that legacy, I think your professional career went like that. Because, you know, I came, man, I was always, and you welcomed me. I always came to your practices and watched you, and I bragged and I talked about you all the time. I watched you play against the best receivers that lined up out there. But the Atlanta Falcons didn't have that winning record at the time. And I don't think that you ever got the accolades that you deserve. Well, not just you, too. A lot of the Falcons. A lot of the Falcons, just because of that. But I'm gonna give you. You always been my man. I got to give it to you, and I want you to know that this guy here was the guy. That's the ball.
Well, I appreciate it, man. But you know, I'm humble, and I always really believe, Rhett, and I believe this with all my heart, that I couldn't have been anything without competing against guys like you, right? Competing against Carlos Carson. You know, that thing that drove me to have to play my best and perform my best. You know, when we talk about track, when we talk about football, you know, in our county, you had to play.
Yo, you did.
Bro, you're not gonna go out there.
Great competition there, man.
You gotta play. And so that what I got from you guys growing up in high school, I took it to Tallahassee, right? Because you know, and what I learned from my high school coach, some of the things that my coaches taught me. I went to Florida State, man, as a freshman. I weighed 145 pounds, soaking wet. You know, me and AC used to look just alike. We couldn't, neither one of us can put weight on, right? We just thin, skinny guys. And but I was a leader. And my high school coach taught me leadership, man. Coach Wilder, Connie Wilder, taught me about leadership. And I was a quarterback. And I'll never forget, man, my first practice at Florida State. I go straight to the front of the line. They say, do the drills. I'm up first.
Yeah.
Man, them seniors jumped all over me. Bobby Jackson, boy, you better get your little boy back there.
Wow.
I didn't know any better.
Just a natural leader.
But guess what? But I ended up eventually being on that roster, you know, playing a lot as a freshman, right? Watching Bobby Jackson play and watching Ivory Joe Hunter play. That helped me out. I can't tell you what that was like. Because see, Bobby Jackson, was a senior my freshman year. And I saw him do things that I thought was impossible to do. But because I saw it,
you knew it could be done.
I said, well, I can do it. I started trying and I go, oh, I can do that too. Right? So that helped me, right? And then when Bojack got drafted, well, he got drafted as I was a freshman, he got drafted. My teammate, we doing drills together, you know, he get drafted and became an instant starter as a rookie playing left corner for the New York Jets. He was a starter for 8 years. And he was the guy who, you know, put his arm around me, right? And then Ivory Joe Hunter, man, I can't even explain to you what he means to me. I got to get him on the show soon.
Okay.
He was more like a real true brother. He was a guy who really took care of me. He put his arm around me when I came to Tallahassee, right? And it just kept me straight. You know, he just kept me straight. And so I'm thankful for that, right? And so when you get a chance to see and experience that, you know, it's nothing like that. So you come from a great county, come from an area that, you know, we play great ball. And then I go to school and I see things right away. And then I really started saying, because when I was a kid, I was believing to be a pro. When I was 9 years old, I was believing to be a pro. But of course, everybody shot me down except my mom, my best friend. Everybody else would shoot me down.
Spoke that in existence.
I spoke it. Hey, I prayed every night, me and my mom, every night about it. So that thing real, man. People don't get it because the more you speak it, the more you're gonna believe it.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't tell me that it wasn't gonna happen for me. Right? I'm just telling you. If you can hear my friends talk, like Larry Coffey, he'll tell you, man, you always was talking that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in 5th grade. Any teacher asks me what you're gonna be when you grow up, I tell them quick. I'm playing pro football. And everybody laugh. And I get mad every time. And I say to myself, I'm gonna show y'all. I used to say it. I'm gonna show y'all. Okay. Laugh now. I remember my 5th grade teacher, probably the best teacher I ever had, Miss Grace Lycurgus. And she, the first day of school, she went down every row asking everybody what they wanted to be when they grow up. Of course, she got me, I was on the 3rd row. And everything else, everything those kids said they wanted to be. Another school teacher like her, a fireman, a policeman, a lawyer, a doctor. She was applauding them. Oh, that's good. We need more doctors. We need more of this. We need more of that. And when she came to me, I said, I don't play professional football. And the first thing she said, you're going to need a backup plan. And I'll never forget the whole classroom bust out and laughed.
Wow.
And I was just mad within myself. And I said, I'm going to show all y'all. And it wasn't until, Rhett, it was this past summer, because I thought she had passed before I started playing.
Okay.
So I was up in my bedroom this past summer, and after my rookie year, they celebrated me in Delray, had this parade, called it Bobby Butler Day and all this kind of stuff. So they had this event. And so at the event, they had this book, almost like when you go to a funeral or a wedding, how you sign in to see names.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the book. And I went through it just to look at it to see who was all there. And there was her name. Grace Lycurgus was there. And it made me feel some kind of way because I know she said, he said he was going to do it. He said it. And so, but it's amazing. But when you have guys, you know, before you, Barry Hill told me something one day because I was getting ready to go to Bethune-Cookman. I was coming after you, bro.
All right.
I was coming to Cookman because Penn played quarterback at Cookman. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
I'm going to Cookman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Greg Dobson went to Cookman. I'm going to Cookman. You know, Charles Canese, Randy Strong, Bobby Brown. They all went. Bobby Burns. You know, they all went to Cookman. So I'm coming. And then Barry Hill put his arm around me one day. We were working out together. He said, well, you know what you're going to do? I said, I'm going to Cookman. I'm going to play quarterback. He looked at me. He said, man, let me talk to you. And we went to the parking lot. He said, Bobby, you need to find that TV. You need exposure. He said, you need exposure. He said, if I was you, I wouldn't go to Cookman. So I saw Barry myself play in the Sun Bowl when he was at, he went to school at
Iowa State.
Him and Lawrence Hunt, Big Daddy Hunt, went to Iowa State from Carver High.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they went from Carver High, and so I saw them play on TV, and then I saw him get drafted. Both of them got drafted. Big Daddy went to the Steelers, and of course Barry went to the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. So they were the only two guys that I saw make it. And so when he said,
I knew what he was saying.
He said, bro, he said, man, he said, nah. He said, you're gonna need TV.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he said that, man, I started thinking about it, man. And nobody I did have a couple offers to play quarterback at Division I schools, but they were all wishbone teams.
Yeah.
I wasn't a wishbone quarterback. I ain't never run an option in my life.
Throw it.
You know, I wanted to throw the ball and scramble, and create things like they do today. It's something that they want now, but they don't want it.
Right.
But the good news was I had a chance to play both sides of the ball in high school. And
that's a blessing.
That's a blessing. But see, my senior year, Rhett, when you left, bruh, I had 7. Well, you know this. I had 7 picks. I put 6 in the end zone my senior year. So everybody in the country wanted me to do that. So I had a lot of opportunity to play on TV. I didn't have to go to Cookman, right?
Yeah.
And then the thing, and I'll tell you another thing that really Cookman out of the picture. Because I'm telling you. So my daddy called Tank Johnson.
Okay.
You know, Tank from Delray.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know that. Tank Johnson from Delray, right?
Yeah.
My daddy called Tank and asked Tank, "Are you recruiting my boy?" And Tank told my daddy, "I'm not going to waste my time."
You know, that happens. Unfortunately, that happens.
Man, let me tell you something. We don't know. But listen, Rhett, I'm going to tell you right now.
I've had this conversation with some other people. But
let me tell you, all Tank Johnson had to do was have Anthony Penn to give me a call. I'm telling you, it would have been a wrap.
Yeah.
I would have heard what Barry said.
Yeah.
But if Penn would have called me, bro, I would have been gone.
Yeah.
And we would have been there together. Me and you would have been up there together.
And I don't know why they won't do it. You know, I mean, you have nothing to lose. But I had this conversation a few times with another friend of mine at another HBCU, and we've turned them on to some people, and they think it's a waste of time, but it is. It is what it is. You know, Barry spoke at our senior banquet, man.
Barry Hill?
Yeah. Barry spoke there. And just going back to the leadership part, like you say, people are always watching in the leadership part. It's one thing I was very grateful to Coach Sutton about, and I mentioned it to him a couple of times when Dan Calloway see or hear me, if it's on the phone or he see me, that's what he called me, Captain. And stuff, and that was one of the greatest honor I had was for Coach to let me be a leader and be a captain.
Amen.
With them guys, because there was some guys out there, man. Them guys, Mike Coleman, Laverne, Ed, and them. For them guys for me to have the opportunity to be a captain of
lead those guys,
that team, man, for a couple of years, man, that was great.
That's special. Well, it says a lot, especially when you got a coach like Coach Sutton. Now,
Coach Sutton with Sutton,
that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing. So you talk about him. So not only y'all had talent, but y'all had people in position coaching that enable your success, because I don't care what nobody say, Coach Al Sutton was a no-joke coach. I put him in the same category as Coach Roger Coffey. They're all alike.
Yeah, they say.
Coach Coffey, I never played for Coach Coffey, but I played for him. I like to say that, right? Because I lived in his house. I ate his food.
Yeah.
His son was my best friend, right?
Okay.
So I can't tell you how many, put it this way, I've spent more time in the coffee house than I did in mine. If you don't count
where you were all the time.
If you don't count the time that I was asleep.
Okay.
My waking hours, I spent more time in their house. And guess what was going on in their house all the time? Football. All the time.
Yes.
Bruh. All the time. That's the conversation in that house all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And then when it wasn't a conversation, the guys who were walking through the door to come see him.
All the time.
All the time.
I could imagine, because that's what they were, man. Them guys, I always say they don't make them like that no more.
They don't make them like that. Well, they can't. Well, you know what? Let's be honest. Those kind of men can't even coach today.
True.
Because these guys are military grade coaches.
Yes.
And you can't coach military in schools no more.
Yeah, you can't do it anymore.
And you know what I mean when I say military.
Yeah.
You know, with a lot of discipline.
Yes, sir.
A lot of discipline. It was no joke. They didn't play.
Not at all.
They didn't play. And so, well, Rhett, man, I really appreciate you, man. I love you, man. You know, you've been a joy to have living in Atlanta right here with me. And just like you said, coming to games and, you know, we run into each other. I got a chance to speak at your church once.
That's right.
And man, I just tell you, it's just been a pleasure. You know, I love our friendship. You know, we talk on the phone all the time. And ladies and gentlemen, one thing about me and Rhett, let me tell y'all right now. Yeah, we play ball, we love ball. But there's something we love more than all that. It's called fishing.
Tight lines.
Tight line. Hey, we can't help ourselves. Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna get you with Ed, man.
We're gonna get together.
Yeah.
We're gonna get together. I see a couple trips for us this year.
Oh yeah.
A couple trips for us because I got another partner that I played with. He's a year behind me, named John Hires.
Okay.
His son, they fishing out of Crystal River. He caught a big old grouper the other day. I said, all right, now. I'm showing me all that, putting all that in my face and not invite me down. You can't do me like that now, because I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna call you out.
Yeah, like I'm calling my friend. I'm calling you out on here, Roger Jackson. Great.
Come on, Roger. Let's get it together,
Bethune Cookman and the Denver Broncos, and down there catching all that grouper, man.
Come on, Roger. We gotta get some of that. We gotta get some of the freeze up here, man.
Okay.
But listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's our show for tonight. This is 100 Yards of Football. If you like the show tonight, comment, share it with your friends, and meet us again next Monday. Next Monday will be a day after Christmas, but we'll be here. Thank you guys again for being with Rhett. God bless you, man.
Thank you.
For your time.
God bless you too. Love you.
All right.